We've seen the failures of banks tied to the crypto markets over the past week. One by one, the dominoes fell over. Silvergate, Signature Bank, and finally Silicon Valley. You know what this means? Regulators, especially in the US, are going to use these failures to gaslight cryptocurrency and attempt to usher in full control of crypto through a CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. Their attempts will be futile, but this narrative they will create opportunities in the crypto markets. Which coins will pump with the news of CBDCs? Find out in about 10 minutes because it's time for Chico Crypto. Yeah, under the cover of the implosion of the crypto markets, the United States Fed has been moving swiftly on a CBDC. During the FTX collapse in November of last year, the Fed announced their plans. Michelle Neal, Executive Vice President and Head of Markets of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, spoke at the Singapore FinTech Festival with a speech titled Advances in Digital Currency Experimentation. And this is what she said. In the remainder of my remarks, I'd like to focus on an example of ongoing innovation research that is currently underway at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Project Cedar is the inaugural project of the NYIC and represents the first stage of the NYIC's research efforts into CBDCs, the NYIC's biggest focus area in 2022. A goal of the NYIC is to progress CBDC research with an objective of defining a technical design for a CBDC, addressing the wholesale market in the Federal Reserve context. The NYIC developed a hypothesis that there is a distributed ledger technology solution for wholesale FX settlement that results in instant and atomic settlement, in which a wholesale CBDC is a settlement asset. NYIC then built a working prototype and tested it. Results from the experiment indicated that settlement could occur in fewer than 10 seconds on average, and that horizontal scaling was possible. And the New York Fed has even put out a full white paper on Project Cedar, diving into the solution concept and the results of their testing. Now, this was just phase 1 of the pilot. In November, they also announced plans for phase 2. As we can see from this press release, phase 2 of Project Cedar would be a collaboration between the New York Fed and Singapore's Monetary Authority. From this press release, Michelle Neal said this about the second phase. Building off phase 1, the Project Cedar phase 2 collaboration will provide further visibility into the functionality and interoperability of multi-currency ledger networks utilizing their own designs. It's all about interoperability, aka the US's CBDC working with Singapore's design and beyond, aka cross-chain messaging. Who could be helping provide this? Well, a proof of concept was announced also around this same time. Members of the US banking sector and the New York Fed were aiming to test a digital asset settlement platform. And as we can see from the article, it's an interoperable digital money platform known as a regulated liability network. Interoperability. Who is working on this besides the big banks and the Fed? The article says, the technology is being provided by Settle with digital asset, powered by Amazon Web Services. Swift, the global financial messaging service provider, is also participating in the initiative to support interoperability across the international financial ecosystem. How is Swift going to get different blockchain networks to communicate with each other, to be interoperable? With Chainlink, of course. It was announced in September of last year, Swift was partnering with crypto data provider Chainlink with their cross-chain protocol. And the article states, CCIP, Chainlink's cross-chain protocol, will enable Swift messages to instruct on-chain token transfers, helping the interbank network to be able to communicate across all blockchain environments. Now, going back to the article on the digital asset settlement platform created with Swift and the banks, we can see it was a proof of concept that would last 12 weeks, and the announcement of the POC happened in early November. That must mean the POC is close to ending or has already ended, right? We should be getting details about those results. Well, you would be correct. Swift posted this week about the successful testing, and the article states, "We've now tested the solution in a sandbox environment with 18 central and commercial banks. Participants expressed strong support for the solution's continued development, noting that it enables seamless exchanges of CBDCs, even those built on different platforms." During the 12-week collaborative testing period, participants processed a total of 4,736 transactions between the Quorum and Corda blockchain networks, and between Corda and a fiat currency. Now, why is this important? Which blockchains and how many were used during this POC? Well, it gives us insights into which blockchain technologies were used. Kaleido, the blockchain development company, posted this article. Kaleido enables Swift's new CBDC sandbox with broad industry participation. And the article says, the live sandbox developed for Swift by Kaleido hosts 18 central banks and commercial banks to help define the future of CBDCs and cross-border payments. The sandbox demonstrates that CBDC-initiated cross-border payments can plug into Swift's enhanced platform, exactly as real-time gross settlement payments do. This is facilitated using Swift's newly designed CBDC connector gateway. In the sandbox, Kaleido facilitates two independent simulated national CBDC networks, with a central bank and commercial banks operating nodes on the network. Remember, Swift said they are using two blockchains with their POC, Quorum and Corda. Kaleido is facilitating transactions between two CBDC networks, aka Kaleido is a key component of the development of this for Swift and the banks. And guess who is a key component of Kaleido and the enterprise solutions they've created? Chainlink. As we can see, all the way back in November of 2018, Kaleido picked Chainlink to provide Oracle services for their blockchain business cloud. And Kaleido has given a demo on using Chainlink oracles for their blockchain environments that they can create. Let's watch now.
And cool, now we have our dashboard. So we're going to add an environment here. So this is going to be, we're going to add our Ethereum environment here. So this is our Ethereum node, which is going to be running in Ohio, which is really cool. And I believe we chose AWS. So we're running our own Ethereum node on AWS.
As we could see, the two blockchain environments Chainlink works with are Corda, one of the two used in the Swift POC, and Ethereum. But as we can see, it's a permissioned Ethereum. Is it Quorum, the second one Swift is using? Let's continue.
Which is really exciting. So let's get one set up. It's super simple, which is really exciting. We're going to call this ETH node cloud only. Yep. And this doesn't really matter so much. I think Quorum was the popular one.
So my friends, this is basically proof of Chainlink being used in this Swift CBDC POC and sandbox. If they are using Kaleido, they are using Chainlink's oracles for the smart contracts to interoperate. I think something may be in the pipeline for Chainlink, and very soon. Founder of Chainlink, Sergey Nazarov, was on the Chainlink podcast just a couple days ago. Here's what he said about this month, March.
So it's March. I'm very positive about everything, about our industry. So what I'm always most excited about in March is that everything's going to boom, because obviously this makes sense.
Sergey is for some reason extremely excited about March, laughing, saying it just makes sense for the markets to boom. So my friends, an American CBDC from my research would likely use Ethereum technology and Chainlink oracles. But if we go back to the Project Cedar Phase 2 article, it was a collaboration between two countries, the USA and Singapore, through their monetary authority. What could Singapore be working with in relation to their CBDC? Well, in June of 2021, the Monetary Authority announced a challenge to the public, a CBDC solution challenge. They were looking for design solutions for their own CBDC. From this report on the challenge, we can see over 300 proposals were submitted from all around the world. And out of the finalists picked, we can get insight into the best teams building CBDCs across the globe who are in the crypto markets with a token. One of their finalists was SORAMITSU, the founders of Sora Network, XOR. From the profile on Sora, they say, SORAMITSU is the developer of the open source blockchain Hyperledger Ohora. Together with the National Bank of Cambodia, SORAMITSU developed Bakong, a Hyperledger Ohora-based payment infrastructure and digital currency, live in the market since 2019. SORAMITSU has developed a full-featured two-tiered CBDC system based on Hyperledger Ohora, which is production-ready. Ethereum, Chainlink, and Sora Network are the CBDC narrative coins. I don't like CBDCs one bit. I just call it like I see it. Cheers, viewers. I'll see you next time.